So this is Bristlecone. It's a painting I did just because I had this idea in my head that I couldn't get out that I wanted to do for a tree, and I didn't know what type of tree I wanted to do, but I had this area in my head. And so I'll talk about the techniques I used on this particular painting, what inspired me, some little details in it that you don't really see until you're up close. So I want to be sure to bring that out in case you're buying online, what to expect in the painting, either the original or a print. And also I'll talk a little bit more about prints for this type of size painting and what kind of options you have. So to begin with, I did choose the Bristlecone pine as my inspiration tree. And the reason I did is because Bristlecone pine trees they're long-lived. They live for centuries. And the reason why they live so long is because they have incredibly deep roots. And they are able to withstand harsh conditions. They're very resilient. Their bark is so unique. It's just like waves of ripples on their trunks that I try to capture in this painting. So first of all, I started out doing an acrylic pour sky, because that's usually what I do with my paintings. I'll have a section of acrylic pour, and then the rest I'll do with oils. And for this one, I did the acrylic pour sky, and I just wasn't happy with it. It was a little dark, and I wanted to add clouds using oils in the future, and I felt that if I did an acrylic pour sky, it would just be too distracting for the tree and the lower section, which I wanted to make the focus. So the focus here necessarily isn't necessarily the tree itself, it's the roots, because it takes up 2/3 of the painting. So your attention should be down here, and it's dark, so it's like it draws you in, it forces you to get close to the painting. And the thing I did that you won't see unless you're up close really is I wrote a scripture down here of a tree that sends out its roots and it doesn't wither. It's in the book of Jeremiah. So I put that on the actual roots, just one scripture, but you have to read it in this order, going this way. So it goes from here to here, here, up here, over here, and then down here is the last of it. So people don't really see it until they're up close, and so it's like a little gift, a little surprise. They're like, oh, I didn't notice that before. That's really cool. And you see them tilting their head trying to read it, which is kind of fun. So it's a very interactive piece of art for your home. It'll get a lot of conversation started. And the background, I did mountain scene, and I did, kind of a springtime lupine flowers and daisies up here, and it's just kind of happy. It's very soothing colors. Nothing really like jumps out at you except for the tree. And the tree, I put a lot of texture on the tree because the tree itself is so tactile with that bark. If you look up bristlecone pine, you'll see what I mean. And so I used acrylic medium to actually sculpt the swirling ripples of the trunk of the tree. And then I added shading and things like that to kind of even bring that out even more, because it's this huge part of the tree. And usually when you see pictures of the tree, they don't have a lot of leaves, and they're just kind of really abstract in nature, and because they live in harsh conditions, but they're still living, which is pretty neat. I put leaves on mine just because with the scripture it talks about being by a stream of water and your leaves don't wither. I felt if I didn't put leaves on it, it'd be kind of contradictory to that. So I have leaves on mine, and I can because I'm the artist, so I do what I want. So the leaves themselves, I use that same technique I've done in other paintings where I put a wire mesh down. I put acrylic medium on top of that, and then I pull that mesh off, and it leaves this really interesting texture on the canvas, and then I paint that. So what I started to do too is incorporating color into that acrylic medium, sculpting medium, so that If anything flakes off, you won't see like a white spot, you'll actually see color, so it won't. Because if you put a lot of texture on something, eventually some things will flake off, and so you don't want that to mar the painting in the future. So if you incorporate some color in your medium, the colors that you're using, if something flakes off, you won't even see it. It just adds more character. So that's what I do. As far as the sky goes, I painted using oils, some clouds, but I did more abstract clouds when it's closer here by the tree. And so those have, they're a lot more loose. They're kind of more abstract. And I think that was cool because the bottom is kind of abstract and it just seemed a little more balanced that way. And the roots themselves are also, they have some iridescent paint on the roots, so they kind of shift color too. Not all the roots, but some of them, so it kind of adds some interest. It kind of ties in. I used some of the colors down here that I used up here, so that way it ties together and it's not just a big block of brown. So also there's that mesh texture here kind of scattered throughout the section, so it's not just a blank, you know, smooth surface. It actually has texture like rocks underneath the ground, so that the roots have to get around in order to survive. So it's kind of philosophical in a way, and it makes you think, appreciate endurance. And so it's just one I wanted to do for a while, and I mainly did it for me to enjoy, but it's for sale. The original still is for sale, but I said I was going to talk about prints for this size. I can't get much bigger than this in a print, so it would probably be this size. I think I have a slightly larger one available, but you can get smaller than this because this is quite tall. So at the end of a hallway, you know, if you have this long hallway and the little wall at the end, this would be perfect for that. Or if you have really tall ceilings and you have like a table and you can put this above the table next to the wall, it would look really cool that way, and you can stage it that way. If you want to go smaller, then you could be able to fit it in different areas. And the thing with shrinking a size in a print, the details pop out even more, so it's even more sharp. If you go bigger, then the details kind of get a little muffled a little bit. It still looks great because it's a high quality canvas print, but you'll miss a few of the details. So just keep that in mind when you're ordering prints. Larger is more impactful, definitely. It fills up a wall. Smaller, more detailed. Anyway, this is Bristlecone.